I'm back. This is a continuation of the previous video. If you haven't watched that one, please go back and watch that one. But girl, did we know there were x-rays? Because according to Dr. Welcher, there weren't any. And he even said the words, at least that I haven't seen. Did he lie? Did he see them and he lied about seeing them? Or did they never give their own witness a copy of the x-rays? Because it is standard procedure that x-rays are taken when you do autopsies. Yeah, of course they would have done x-rays to see if there were any other injuries to the body. But we've been made to believe this entire time that there were no x-rays. And I've been saying all along, wouldn't his arm have been fractured? Wouldn't his arm have been broken? Everyone's like, well, we don't know. We don't know. Yes, the fuck we do. Because Alan Jackson walked into court yesterday. There was one point where I was like, what the hell's he doing? Because I could hear the paper rustling. I could hear him. I'm like, what's happening? Pan over, pan over. And all of a sudden you see him. And he's got all these big x-rays and he's trying to unroll them. And I was like, are those what I think those are? Yeah, bitch, they're x-rays. We got to see Dr. La Posada sit there and hold up x-rays to the jury. There was no broken hand. There were no fractures, no broken bones, no hairline fractures, nothing in his hand. No broken bones, fractures, hairlines, anything to the forearm, and nothing broken, fractured hairline, anything to the upper arm. We found out that they had surgically kind of opened his legs because whenever there is a car strike, they tend to look at the lower extremities to see what the impact, where the impact wounds may have been. And they couldn't find any of that compressed tissue that causes bruising, which is how it led them to believe that there was not a car strike. There was no point of impact. The prosecution's own witness, Dr. Scortibello, said the exact same thing. There was no point of impact. But Dr. La Posada broke it down even more and really drove it home. During a break outside of the presence of the jury, Hank Brennan tried to discredit her. The chief medical examiner in Rhode Island, he's like, here's all the mistakes she made. Hank used to be a defense attorney up until this case. He's faced her before in court. So I think she knew exactly what she was up against, and that's why she was so incredibly poised and she was so smooth the entire time. And Hank was like, well, how did you research this? How did you come to know this? How did you discover this? And she's like, I have 40 years of experience. I understand physiology. I understand contact wounds. I understand wound patterns. I understand skull fractures. Like every single answer was, I know it. Like I know more than you. He tried to say, and I don't, if you guys are old enough to remember that horrible nightclub fire that happened in Rhode Island, where the band was playing, they shot off some fireworks, it caused a fire in the bar and they didn't have enough exits and people just basically got burned to death inside of this nightclub. It was horrific. I remember it being on the news and there were lawsuits and there were all kinds of things that happened. So yeah, she was the medical examiner then. She was the chief medical examiner at that time. And his complaint was that she was not basically the first one to the scene. That's like saying, why isn't the director of FEMA present at every single hurricane? No, you send your staff. There's a reason you have a lot of people that work for you. People go, they do all the preliminary work. You stay behind in kind of like emergency response center to like make sure everybody's doing what they need to. We're preparing for this, we're prepared for that. These people are being informed. These press conferences are taking place. You're doing everything you can from a leadership standpoint. And by the way, she made it down there the exact same day. He wanted to just say that she was late to arrive. I would love for Alan Jackson to ask the question, what time exactly did Yuri Buchanan and Michael Proctor arrive at 34 Fairview on the day that John O'Keefe died? They never made it to the scene. Not once that entire first day. They didn't. They never went to 34 Fairview until 5:30 at night, allegedly, to drop off some broken taillight. So don't start talking shit about being late to the scene, Hank. It doesn't work here. Now, first thing yesterday morning, Hank also filed a motion about Dr. Rentschler's testimony. Now, remember, they work in tandem. Wolf talks about the car. Did this car hit a body? Wolf says no. Next, Rentschler's job is to say, was this body hit by a car? And he had this PowerPoint presentation he was going to go through. Yesterday morning in a motion that 28 slides be removed from it. He claimed they were improper. He claimed it was hearsay. Bottom line is he only thinks it's improper because it talks about the body not being hit by a car. We got some clarity on that yesterday afternoon when they continued to argue this motion. You know, he's basically like slide 6, slide 8, slide 9 through 27. Like he's talking about all the slides, the verbiage that he wants taken off. The one thing I loved is that he says, well, he's going to testify that the wounds on the arm don't line up with the tears on the fabric of the hoodie. And then he has the audacity to say, well, who's he to testify about that? He's not a fabric expert. Well, neither are you, Hank, because when Dr. Wolf was still on the stand, remember how you held up that hoodie inside its little plastic casing and you went, is that a hole? Is that a hole? Is that a hole? Is that a hole? Apparently you don't even recognize what are holes and what are rips and cuts from the medical examiner's office. And it was a beautiful thing to watch Alessi pull on his little rubber gloves and be able to take that thing out of its plastic casing and hold it up to the jury and go, see, look, he was fucking lying to you. There are not holes all over the back of this hoodie. I really honestly think Dr. Rentschler is the witness that Hank is the most afraid of, because he knows that the dots are being connected right now. You've got one expert who's an expert in reconstruction, accident reconstruction, and looking at damage to different vehicles. He did 7 different tests in different settings, lab, outdoor, arm only, full body, different speeds, and never could once make that taillight break the way they said it did. And he said it could never have been broken without some sort of different injuries or road rash or other things that it caused. You've got another witness that comes in and goes, yep, those injuries on the arm, that didn't come from a car strike. This man was not hit by a car. He did not die of hypothermia. Those are animal. Those are Chloe marks. Those are canines and incisors and puncture wounds and scratches on the arm that were inflicted while he was still alive. And he wasn't out there long enough to die of hypothermia. He wasn't even out there long enough to have frostbite. My take is that John died in that garage, and he was left in the garage until early that morning, probably an hour or two before Karen woke up and started looking. I think that's why Jen McCabe did the 227 search, hostile to dying cold, because she knew that he was going to be sitting in that garage and they were going to throw him outside at a certain time, and she wanted to be sure it was long enough. They gave enough of a window to make it look like he died of hypothermia. The man didn't even have frostbite.